Well, as we all know it, we're in this class to learn public speaking and to exercise our First Amendment right. And as we all know this, every time we give a speech, it can be really nerve-wracking. Now think about giving a speech when you have no rights to speak, when you want to speak out of place and make a point. Now, 47 years ago, that man spoke out of place. 47 years ago, he fought for against oppression, for freedom and equality. 47 years ago, he spoke in front of so many people. And 47 years ago, I'm sure he must have been really nervous. Now, that man is Martin Luther King. Bowers, according to an article by Bowers, what have you done to stand up for yourself or someone else? He says, Martin Luther King was an inspiring hero. He stood up for what he believed in at all costs, and it ended up costing his life. The actions he took, the speeches he made, changed American society and the world we live in. Now today, we're going to talk about the reasons we chose him, the significance of his speeches, his communication skills, and how his speaking ability inspired us. We chose him, the main reasons we chose him was courage. According to an article by Cosser, Martin Luther King, a man of courage, Martin Luther King was a man of courage. He fought against oppression, and he fought for civil rights in a non-violent way. He fought for the rights of African Americans so that they will no longer be treated with discrimination. They can sit in front of a bus for once. So he fought for those things. Another thing was relevance. We live in a world full of stereotypes, especially here in America. People are judged by who they are, by what they are, not by who they are. And that's wrong. And that's one of the things he tried to fix when he gave his speeches, when his time. And that's why it's relevant, because we all aim for equality. And now Abel will talk about the significance of the speeches.
Some say that the moment makes a man, but on August 28, 1963, at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., in front of a crowd of 250,000, the man made the moment. The I Have a Dream speech delivered by Martin Luther King is widely significant because it paved the way for a transformation in American law and life. The movement for advancing civil rights was not started by MLK. Undoubtedly, though, we recognize him and his words as being, we recognize him and his words as peaceful pleas for freedom and equality. Dorothy Height, former president of the National Council of Negro Women, who sat behind King during his speech, said, "The real significance of the march and the speech was that it changed attitudes. We experienced what I like to call a nonviolent revolution under the rule of law. A revolution of value and a revolution of ideas." Less than a year after this peaceful demonstration, the government had a lapse of nostalgia in recognizing definitively that all men will be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, and the following year, the Voting Rights Act was enacted to ensure there would be no discrimination at the voting booth, and that all voters would be accounted for, regardless of their skin color. And in 1968, Congress passed the Fair Housing Act, which removed discrimination in buying and renting of housing. All of these acts of legislation would be only a part of the significance MLK left and the effect which his speech had in pursuing these freedoms.
Now we'll talk about Martin Luther King and the communication concepts that he utilized in his speech. Martin Luther King was a man with charisma. He persuaded the people to recognize a problem, its causes, and to strive for a solution. He swayed people to stand up and make a change. He used concepts that impacted his audience with his words. Martin Luther King used ethos and pathos to influence his audience and show them his dream. He used credibility and emotional appeal to demonstrate. He used ethical appeal to convey to his audience he was a leader that had an impact on many because of his intent. They saw what he did and stood for and believed in him. He was an intelligent man that was well respected. He understood that he was in a position where there was great influence in his words. He understood the power of words and its effect on people. Martin Luther King knew there was a need of change that would only be done with the strength of the group. Martin Luther King displayed pathos by persuading and appealing to his audience's emotions. He conveyed through his tone and use of metaphors. He used emotional appeal to effectively enhance his argument and persuade the people. In an article by Curtin called 6 Qualities, it stated that he made an impression with the use of metaphors and repetition, and through that he was able to band a deep connection with the audience to a point where they were in harmony with one another. They drew their energy from each other, and he recognized the level of energy in the room. That connection made the event more than a speech. It made it an experience that made people act. He also used tempo with his speeches to control the intensity.